Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Kaylee Chella. It's a first alert weather day today and it's been a tough day across the valley when it comes to travel. This video is from the I-29 just moments ago. Today a car flipped upside down. Multiple cars were left in the ditch. Accidents all over the place. A reminder to be extra careful as you drive home tonight. Let's go straight over to Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson for a look at our forecast. Hutch?
Kaylee, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. On this Friday, a first alert weather day continues, and we, after having a little break in the winds here in the FM area, they're starting to hit once again. Here's a front row seat of our home of economy location in the Devil's Lake area. You can see back in the distance how that snow is being picked up, and once again, those gusty winds wreaking havoc across portions of the area, even though right now we're starting to see some improvement. I want to point out the band of snow now moving off toward the I-35 corridor in eastern Minnesota. So the new snowfall is really winding down. But take a closer look. There's a little batch moving out of the Devil's Lake Basin right into the Red River Valley now. And I'm getting reports that there's freezing rain in Harwood. That's right. Up above the ground right now, temperatures are warm enough to melt these snowflakes into liquid drops, and they fall on your windshield and freeze instantly. This is creating a very slippery condition right now with cars reported in the ditch on I-29 north of town. First alert weather day continues today. Again, our conditions are pretty terrible out there, and the winds will continue to pick up tonight. We're going to see winds gusting over 40 miles per hour as the snow exits, and this is going to pick up the snow that fell today and continue to cause issues for travelers into the overnight. I'll have hour-by-hour details on that. And Kaylee, there's more snow coming this weekend, both on Saturday and again on Sunday. We'll have all the details you need to know in a moment.
All right, we'll check right back in with you. Thanks, Hutch. Well, we do have some breaking news now into the newsroom. Just moments ago, the FBI announced that Brian Laundrie has claimed responsibility for killing Gabby Petito. They say the evidence was found in a notebook near his body. They haven't released any additional details yet. As we learn more, we'll update you right here on Valley News Live. Well, we're learning more about the ripple effects of school bus driver shortages across the country. Some states have gone as far as calling in the National Guard for help, and other schools have been forced to return to remote learning. The shortage is making it even harder for students to catch up.
You know, the learning loss that we're now mitigating from earlier pandemic disruptions or earlier pandemic virtual learning is in many ways a significant amount of work to make up for a lot of these students.
Schools in at least 9 states have requested assistance from the National Guard, but they're already stretched thin, filling in at hospitals and testing clinics. Parents are also concerned about juggling distance learning and work. Now, schools expect pandemic-related challenges to last at least the remainder of the school year. The FBI is investigating a Minnesota-based nonprofit for allegedly misusing millions of dollars in government funds intended for programs to feed children. Unsealed search warrants claim Feeding Our Future received tens of millions of dollars in federal funding to open community sites across the Twin Cities. Now, it was supposed to be used to feed the underprivileged. FBI documents allege almost all of the money was funneled through other organizations and used to buy cars, real estate, and other luxury items. Warrants show FBI investigators were monitoring a number of homes, businesses, and offices across the Twin Cities metro area that are potentially connected to the fraud. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has announced a budget package aimed at expanding economic opportunity. Walz visited a technical college in the Twin Cities yesterday to tout his Move Minnesota Forward budget. According to the governor's office, the series of budget proposals includes $700 million in direct payments of up to $350 to Minnesotans in what they're calling Walz checks. That could mean a bonus for more than 2.7 million Minnesota households.
I would encourage the legislature to do so as quickly as possible to the vast majority of Minnesotans, those who are working class Minnesotans, those who are out there. Make sure we get some of that surplus back into their hands.
Walz says they also want to make sure that frontline workers receive their hero pay. And he said they will propose long-term tax cuts for working class families, especially around child care. President Biden is working to fix national supply chain issues, beginning with addressing much-needed supplies of tiny microchips used to power everything from cars to dishwashers. And he's getting some big help from tech giant Intel. Skylar Henry reports from the White House.
President Biden was joined by Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo and the CEO of Intel at the White House as he hailed the company's plan to invest $20 billion to build a semiconductor production facility in Ohio.
Folks at home might be wondering, Why such a big deal for manufacturing something so small, the size of a postage stamp? Well, semiconductors are small computer chips that power virtually everything in our lives.
The historic announcement comes amid a shortage of the microchips worldwide, slowing down production of cars, smartphones, and other household items.
Because supply is low, we find ourselves in a position that we're really behind the curve. Prices are going up.
The Biden administration is now urging Congress to pass legislation to strengthen research and development that will help alleviate bottlenecks as a result of the pandemic.
Congress needs to pass that bill.
President Biden's push to fix and improve the nation's supply chain issues comes on the heels of him marking his first full year in office. He says the bipartisan infrastructure law and his Build Back Better plan will help produce a more productive economy. After months of setbacks, the president says he's now looking at ways to break up his signature $2 trillion plan into smaller chunks that might have a better chance of passage.
We're going to get as much, a big mountain-sized chunk, whatever you want to call it, as much as we can of the Build Back Better agenda that we can get 50 votes for.
The White House has not given a new targeted price tag for the spending bill or indicated what exactly it would include. Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
President Biden also says the U.S. is looking into finding out where raw materials to produce semiconductor chips might come from. Federal workers who earn minimum wage will be getting a pay boost. The Office of Personnel Management announced today that a $15 minimum wage is being implemented for certain federal civilian employees, impacting 67,000 out of 2.2 million workers nationwide. Most workers who will get a raise work at the Department of Defense. The changes are expected to be implemented by the end of the month. The federal minimum wage is currently $7.25 an hour, but it's higher in several states, including Minnesota, where the wage is between $8.21 and $10.08, depending on the size of the business. The Mayo Clinic hosted a situation briefing on where we stand in the pandemic as a state regarding the Omicron variant. One main takeaway, we may be close to a peak. Seems like the sound isn't working on that one, so let me tell you what they said. Quote, "We are seeing a peak starting to happen in Minnesota as early in the next week, could be as late as the end of the month." Gathering data from around the country, the experts say that there will be an abrupt decline in cases before the case numbers become a more stable level, but they're not certain about the future considering the hesitancy toward vaccines and boosters. Scientists have learned more about the virus and its variants in the last 2 years, and they say vaccination and booster shots are still the best weapon in fighting the surge. Airline boardings experienced a substantial increase last year compared to 2019. Compared to 2020. It is now 2022, guys. Nearly 900,000 passengers flew out of North Dakota last year, and almost the same number flew into the state, which is a 55% increase from 2020. According to the North Dakota Aeronautics Commission, boardings since the start of the pandemic have steadily grown and are now only at 17% below pre-pandemic levels. Though workforce shortages are limiting airlines' ability to expand services and maintain their current flight schedule. 7 restaurant owner groups in the Twin Cities filed a complaint calling the vaccine and testing mandate a, quote, misuse of mayoral power. The sweeping vaccine and testing mandate hit bars and restaurants across the Twin Cities just this week. The restaurant owners who filed the lawsuit include Smack Shack, Jimmy John's, the Gay 90s, and others. Greg Urban, owner of Wild Greg Saloon, said he doesn't believe the mandate will be short-lived and further burdens restaurant workers. Urban said it's considering for businesses to enforce the mandate as employees are already in short supply. If people don't show proof of vaccination against COVID at a bar or restaurant in Minneapolis, the mandate says they must show a negative antigen or PCR test within 72 hours. The lawsuit alleges it is unethical to mandate this because at-home COVID tests are the most accessible, while lab tests have inconsistent turnaround times. If you